Hello and welcome back. This is Sherry with Heart and Soulful in the studio today with a fun new project. So since I really like how this cover turned out, that I would go ahead and keep recording as I finish this project. So I haven't always been intentional. I kind of paint the covers and then don't really know what I'm going to do inside. So for this one, I decided to be intentional. And the other thing I decided to do was, because I'm painting, this is kind of like original artwork on the outside, to make the inside of my book cohesive, I would also hand make some of my own papers for the inside that reflect the outside. So I've decided I'm going to do that with this one. We'll see how it goes. I'm going to record a series. And so today I wanted to work on some papers for the inside and kind of start thinking about what I want to do for my inside and front and back covers. I'm going to put that aside. One thing that I also decided to do for this one and be more intentional about it is when I did the Bohemian travel journal and made all my own papers, I ended up doing a digital kit that I have in my Etsy shop. I want to do the same thing for this one, only instead of waiting until the whole journal's finished, I want to kind of plan and be more intentional about it. I ended up photographing my front and back book covers, and I really like how you can see the detail. You actually see the grain. I don't know if you can see that on camera, but you actually can see the grain of the fabric of the book and just all the texture, all the little details, I think came out really nice. I printed this. I have an Apple that I use for my computer, and so I go into preview and then I select media and quality and put it all the way to the best, and do it that way so that the quality is really good. And then I've printed it on this one. I printed onto Hammermill 32-pound color copy paper. And this is the back cover. And then I've also done the spine. When I put these in a kit, I will end up collaging them kind of with other items so that you don't have a waste of paper. But anyway, I'm getting it started. It will be available when it's finished in my Etsy shop. So yesterday, when I was filming the cover video, my battery died. So I had a little extra time and decided to play around with my jelly plate. So I'm going to show you some of the prints that I took, some of the things that I used, and then actually pull in some more things that we can use. So if you want to do this along with me, pull out your jelly plate. If you don't, it'll be fun to watch. You can use stencils if you have them. I really like this one. I tend to just kind of use parts and pieces of it. You'll see some prints that I did with this one. So if you have stencils, those are good. If you have masks, I don't really have any. I guess this could be like a mask because it's the opposite of the stencil. I really like how those work. You can also use stencils. I'm actually even just using some textural stencils. And then you'll want to have like a baby wipe. We'll use paper to pull up what's behind, but a baby wipe is also handy. So I just like some textural stencils and just little circles. You can see I don't clean my stencils. I guess occasionally I do. This is a stencil too. And I love this pattern. So that one I'll use. This is another stencil that I like the pattern of that I'm going to use for this journal. And then these aren't even stencils, but I am using them as stencils. So these they're just craft cardstock, so they won't last forever. But I have a Cricut maker, and so I had made some of those little fold-over reinforcements, and this was what was left. And I just like that because it's just kind of a nice texture for a stencil. This one I'm using a lot. I love this one. This one also was just the little reinforcement brown, tabs, and then I ran them through a sticker maker for my little reinforcements for tags. And then this one, I'm not even sure what I made with this one, but anyway, same thing. I've kind of torn it already here because it is just made out of cardstock, but it'll work for a while. And then once it's just kind of past its prime, I can even just cut these apart and use them in collage and that kind of thing. So I'm going to use some of those. This was one of the stencils. I just love all that color. It just gets that kind of rusty, crusty kind of look. So this is just, you know, layers and layers of the paint colors that I've been using. Sometimes you do them and maybe you like how they turn out or don't. I do like the moodiness of this. I try to do some with dark backgrounds and then lighter, brighter backgrounds. This is that circle one. Another circle one that I really like how these turn out. I'm hoping I can remember how I did these because you just never know. At least I don't, because I don't have a lot of experience. You just never know how they're going to pull up. And so it's just kind of a fun surprise. These were the rectangles that I did some brighter too. And then this was that reinforcement. These were all done on book page. And then I'm doing some on the hammer mill paper because I really like the weight and texture of it. And then even just color or just plain copy paper, cheap copy paper. Especially if you're just going to be collaging with it and that kind of thing. This is that little arrow kind of pattern. And on these, this background paper, you can see there's gesso in the background and then lots of just different brayer colors. I even save, I use some book page just to keep to the side to clean my brayer. And even those, I kind of try to pay attention to how I'm kind of putting the colors on like a plaid and then go over it with one of your nice pulls. And it just gives you some nice layers too. So this is probably like a second or third pull. You can see the rectangles in the background. And then I just kept reusing that same piece of paper. But I ended up with this final one that I kind of like. So I keep reusing even the ones that don't turn out how, you know, that I'm not happy with. I just keep adding to them. So this is that heart kind of mask stencil thing. And then this is that kind of rug pattern. Now this one was kind of fun. So I did 4 pulls with one jelly plate because I had so many layers that they weren't pulling up all of them. And I think I'll demo how I did this one because that was kind of fun. So this would have been, I had my first layers down and then I used a dark color for the background and I did 1 pull. So that was the first pull. And you could see not a lot of everything came up. And then I used the second one, same exact jelly plate. And then I just put a light color for the background. And so that's the second pull for the same plate. And then even a third pull, it still wasn't pulling up all of the first layers. And so I did another dark background. And then this was the 4th pull. For the 4th one, I went ahead and laid down the turquoise color and then used a comb to get those extra stripes just to give it another texture because I knew there wasn't too much left on my plate. So it was really going to just end up being grungy. So I wanted to add that other texture in. So I think I'll do that as a demo for sure to show you how I did that. And then maybe one of the circle ones with the multicolors because those were fun to do. So this was another one where I had just used cleaning my brayer. And so it was kind of just a scrappy looking piece, but then I added just the circles on part of it. So, you know, you can use just little parts of this. I'll show you kind of something I did at the end where if you find one, you don't really love the whole paper, how to just use bits and pieces of it. I love the color of this one. And again, this one was one where I had used this book page to clean off the dots for the first step. And then later on, I did a whole pull over it because I didn't really just like brown dots. So this one I really love. I used a little bit of this actually in the cover yesterday. And then this was my little berries that I had made for my cover just from another little pull. These were just cleaning off my plate. And I really like, for some lighter contrast, how they turned out. So what happens when I get too much of a buildup on my plate is I'll just use gesso just to kind of clean it off. This is what I've done for ones that I wasn't really thrilled with, you know, the whole thing. This was another one where I had been just kind of cleaning off my plate. And then I used this same book page to kind of clean off that first layer of one of my stencils. And I'll show how I do that. But it's not even, they kind of overlap because I wasn't even careful how I did it. But I kind of liked how it turned out. So I ended up just getting my 3-inch circle punch. And then that way I can layer this onto another paper that maybe I don't like, you know, and just kind of start creating a collage with that. So I'll keep this and use, I can stencil on it, doodle on it, you know, whatever I want, add to it, stamp on it. But then I even like to save the negative space because I can tear that out and, you know, do that as part of my collage maybe. So, you know, I save every little bit. This was another one that it was just, I liked it, but it was just kind of, you know, nothing too great. So I cut out a circle again. And then this one, I just ran through my sewing machine just back and forth, not even trying to be neat and tidy about it. So that'll be kind of a nice embellishment, at least a layer of an embellishment. So, you know, save all those little bits. These were just some, you know, not beautiful background colors, but they'll be nice for, you know, adding something with contrast. And then you could even, when you pull off your plate, instead of laying the whole thing down, you can just do little bits. I'll show how I do that, where I add multiple papers to one and then kind of keep doing that over and over until you get kind of a gel plate collage. And then I also, while I'm doing this, I've got 3 gel plates going. I have this 3-inch circle one. So I've been using those, you know, to clean off my brayer instead of just wasting it on paper. And then I end up having these fun, like kind of planetary looking circles that I can, you know, add. This was, again, just cleaning off a stencil. So it's real light, but then, you know, you can add your circle. And then you can just use kind of parts and pieces of it. Same thing here. I just added to one I wasn't real thrilled with, just my circles. And then I did this yesterday too while I was, I had extra of the light modeling paste that I had mixed up. And so I added those to some backgrounds that I had already printed. So these are actually that raised texture, but I'll be able to cut these out and use those as embellishments too. I did some on some of the circle pages that I had. I didn't have very many book pages done yet, so I just kind of grabbed what I had. So I'll do a few demos today, just in case you haven't played too much with this. So you can use stencils on these. If you don't have a lot of stencils, but you just want the texture, this is just kind of from an onion bag or potato bag. And that's kind of a nice texture. It's plastic, so it'll work out great. You can use that. You can use bubble wrap. I just have the small one. If the bigger bubbles work too. You have that. And then even lace, as long as it's not too fine. This is one that I've just used over and over again. And I haven't done any for this yet, but I'll show how you can even get this imprinted. It's kind of fun. You want it to be something with a real open weave, like this is like that kind of tatted lace or, you know, crocheted lace, doilies, that kind of thing. That'll work. If it's too fine, you won't get the detail. So something kind of open. Some corrugated cardboard works from some stripes. String is kind of fun to get a messy thing, and I'll do some of that. Maybe even kind of pulling it apart so that I've got skinny ones and thick ones maybe. We'll see. That's kind of fun. A comb, if you have one of these. If you don't, you can, you know, like, you know, they just make different kinds of stripes. So I should probably clean these out because they're full of paint, but those work well. A plastic fork or something like that if you don't have this. Caps, again, I didn't use any of these yesterday, but I'll do some with these. Are kind of fun just to get texture. Corks for some other circles. Then this I'll use the end for some smaller dots. And then another thing that I'm going to use, because I used gears in the embellishments of my cover, I thought it'd be fun to do some maybe with gears. These are clock gears that I have. You want to, some of them have like a little sharp thing. You don't want to puncture your gel plates or it'll be there forever. So you kind of have to be careful. These are metal, so you just want to imprint lightly. So I've grabbed some that still have a stem of some kind that I can hold with my hand, but that are flat on the bottom. So I'll use those as just kind of little gear stamps. I have a few different ones. And then even this is kind of that little swirly spring of it. And that's kind of a neat, ends up being kind of a neat. Cookie cutters, you could use cookie cutters for shapes. Just depend, you know, anything you see that won't damage your gel plate, but can give you some kind of a pattern. So we'll play around with some of this and see how it goes. So I'm just going to use my colors. You can see that these are dirty. They have paint on them already. I'm not even going to worry about that because I'll end up pulling it up in some future pull. Same with this one, because it just ends up being nice and grungy, especially if you get all these really kind of crusty corners. You know, they call that maybe scarring or scab, I guess. There's terminology, but I'm still learning because I'm so new at this. But that is so pretty, actually, when it comes off finally. It gives you that sort of really grungy edge. So that'll be kind of fun. So let's get started here. I've got some blank book page that I'm going to use. I have cut in half some of my Hammer Mill 32-pound paper, and then just some plain copy paper. And then I have some of my rejects pieces. I know these look horrible. They've just been from cleaning off my plate or brush. I'm going to keep using those too, because those I might end up with something good. So for this one, let's start. I want to use that. Maybe let's try the circle one. So that's kind of an easy one to do. So first I'm going to lay what just a color, and it's going to end up being maybe around my circle. So let's see. There were some that I really liked how they turned out. I think I'm going to try the turquoise first. So just a little paint there. And then I'm using the small brayer. I have a large one, but this one's fine. So I'm just going to put that on. And if you don't get, you know, it's good to start out with not too much. You want just a nice, even, thin layer. And if you get too much, you just go over here to your other one and get these guys started. This looks like a pretty good amount. And then I'm just going to drop my stencil down. And then, let's see, maybe a bigger one. So you could either use a book page, something like that, and just soak that up. And if you don't get enough on your, you know, if it doesn't pull up all the dots, you can use your baby wipe. But I think this because the circles are pretty open, it comes off pretty easy. So there I have another little part. And even if I might not like the whole thing, I might like, you know, just a section of it. So I'll put that to the side. So you can see I have a little bit of that left there. But around the edge of that, I don't know if you can see that. Let me maybe pick this up. So if you see around the edge, there's still some of the paint. So that's going to be my ring around my, that's left. So while this is still here, I'm going to put another color on top of that. So maybe I'll do the limey green one. And same thing, I'm just going to, nope, I probably don't have enough paint. But even if you did it like this and then you wanted to add another color, like maybe I stripe and I have the lime green at one end and but just kind of keep working that in. And I don't mind if it's just kind of a thin layer, because then it's just going to look grungier to me than having the paint on real thick. So now that I have that layer on, and I can go over here maybe and clean that off. It was pretty dry. Then I can pull this up. It does, because this is paper that I'm just using over and over again. You saw how it was kind of stuck there. Stencils are plastic or mylar, and so they come off a little easier, but that works. So if I wanted to, I don't think I'm going to, but I could get another texture on those dots, or even maybe, I haven't tried this yet, so we'll see. Maybe even just do a little, some of them would be striped then, you know, just to see something different. So I'm going to let that kind of dry before I put my final layer and pull it. So let me maybe go to this one, maybe this round one for a second here. I'm going to put a color on that and then maybe do some of the gears. So I want something a little darker than that. And this is pretty small, so I don't need, oops, maybe not enough paint. Maybe a little bit more than that. Okay, and I got a little too much, so I'm gonna clean it off here. And then while this one's wet, I think I'll go ahead and comb. See, the paint underneath is already dry over here, which is fine because I want these to be really grungy for me. So I'm just going to scratch some lines in that one. And then this one, I think I'll put some gear marks. You probably aren't going to really see this yet until I do my final pull, but it'll be like magic then. So you can kind of see I've got some gear marks in there. So I'm going to let that one dry a little bit too. And then I think this one's probably good, and I can maybe do these two at the same time. So I need a background color now. I think I'm going to do a darker background for this one. I kind of like the dark ones. I'll do a dark and then a light if I need a second pull. So I'm just going to maybe put a little over here too. Oops. In case I don't have enough to transfer from here to here. So I'm just going to go over this whole thing. A nice even coat. And if you're going to do it on book page, it is kind of nice to do the coats really thin because then you'll see the book page through still. If you're doing it on, white background or something, not so much. Now, when I go to pull this one, I don't have very much paint on it. I'm not going to worry about it too much. It's not going to pull that first turquoise color up as much, I think, because it's pretty dry. So let me do it on a piece of white because I think it'll just really show up there. And then maybe I'll do this one because I'm not expecting it to turn out very good. I'll put it on book page. And you never know, I could be surprised. I didn't quite get it covered there, so you just want to make sure. It kind of feels cold when it's wet still, so you kind of want to just really, really rub until it's not feeling too cold. This paper's thicker, obviously, than book page, so the book page one's probably going to be a little more ready to pull first. And actually, I've done it where if you keep this on too long, your book page will actually peel off onto your gel plate, which I actually didn't mind because when it came up in later pulls, it was just kind of neat. So you see, that's just kind of a nice grungy piece, but you can see where that turquoise that was the first layer, a lot of it is still on my plate. So I'll show you how you can kind of clean that and still use it. So let me get that out of my way and see if we're ready for this one. And see, most of that came out because I really left this on and rubbed. So you can see how my back layer was the dark brown, but I had a really thin layer. So it's lighter here, darker here. If you want that to be really even and saturated, you would just put more paint and cover that better. What I would do on this one, I'll do this one next, I think, just because it's still really grungy and you can see how you can clean it. You can either use just gesso or any kind of lighter color and do another pull, and you'll get, that way I want to make sure I have light and dark just for contrast. So I'm going to put, this was just another one, Toasted Marshmallow. This is the color. It's just one of the ones I was using for my cover. And this paint, I don't know what it is about it, but it may be just kind of mixing it with this other different kind of paint that's on my roller, but it ends up being kind of a weird grungy texture in this paint. I don't know why, and I think then what I'll do is, since I still have some on, I'll just do this instead of a dark color underneath. I'll do a light color, and then I maybe have a little bit on there, so we'll do that. And then let's see, I'll do it on some just white paper. And I think I'm going to go off to the side because then I can add another. I'm just doing it up in this corner of my paper. And then maybe this one, I will go back and use this again. Nah, it won't show up as much, I think. Let's see. I don't have any. Let me find a dark one with a darker background. We'll do it on this one. so you can see how it pulled up more of that. I just love, I don't know what it is. I just love grungy stuff. But see, it still left a lot of this up here. So this just, it has dried so much. So as I keep adding paint, it'll soften up and then it'll eventually pull up too. But I really just like that for another background contrast. So of these papers, of these pulls, what I'm going to do is, as I find really good ones that I just love on their own, I'll scan those for background papers. And then as I add to them, also, you know, turn them into things, I'll scan those too. So those will all end up being part of my kit. So yeah, you just never know what you're going to pull up. I just love it. It's just such a surprise. So let's see. I wanted to also do one with, I really liked these dots too. That might be good now that this is so grungy still. So I'm going to put down again, I think I want them to be, maybe these will be a dark color with a light color behind. So I think I'll do the dark first. No, that will be second. So if I light color behind, let me do the green. Or you know, I haven't done any. Of course, I didn't really use too much of it either. Some orange. And then I will just lay that there. And I don't know if I'll be able to get any. Let's see. These are smaller dots, so this book page might not pull it up as well. I might have to use my, oh, it did. So I just have another layer of dots there. But if I want more of that up, just use my baby wipe. And then I want to put down another color. I'm going to put down my dark raw umber. So that my dots will be dark. And I might as well not waste that. So I think I will, it's not going to take up, I'm not pushing hard. I just want to take up what's kind of on the top of my stencil. I will let this dry for a second. And then I'll add, maybe that's still wet. Let's see. I'll do maybe a turquoise layer on this one again. And I think I'm just going to do maybe half and then part another color. And then I think for this one, I want to go ahead and make some kind of pattern on it. And I have no idea what I'm doing here, so. So you could kind of blend this into, that looks really, I love these two colors together. Kind of an ombre blended thing without going too far. And then maybe making a pattern somehow in this too. So let's see, maybe I'll do. And this still isn't dry, so I think what I want to do is dry these a little bit. I want them dry enough that when I go put another layer, all this paint doesn't just get blended in. So I think this one might be enough. And I just love this turquoise color, so I think I'm going to do that on this one. too much paint there, I think. Oh yeah, it kind of reminds me of that first one that I really liked. So this is going to be great because it left a lot of my dots on here. And so that's going to be a really nice pull for the second one for my grunginess. So I'm going to do a light color on that. This toasted one, I think, because I know that's going to be a really nice combination. Yeah. See how pretty that is? I just love that. These are going to be great little backgrounds for little tags and things like that. And that's that part of that one. So I've got a few here started for collaging right on my paper. Get this one off here. That didn't show up too much because I put it onto another one that's very similar color. But still, that was just kind of a wasted piece of paper. So this will be nice too to just kind of punch out backgrounds. Do my 3-inch circle punch. Okay, so this one I need to do my last color. I probably let it dry too much now. I think I want to do a light color background. Not too bad. I like that there's going to be a lot left on there. I'll do a dark pull next. So, you know, you just kind of get different pattern and things going. These are going to be really nice for collaging on, I think, because they're going to be so interesting. So let's see. That has, I think I'll do the dark one, a lime green. No, I think just this umber. So that's a second pull of that one. You know, same gel plate, and they just look so different, you know. So that's fun. And I think then again, I could go again on this one, maybe adding something else in first and then doing a pull. So let's see. I like my dots. And I'm not going to even put a background color down first. I'm just going to do the top one. So I think the lime green, no idea how this is going to come out, but this could be epic. Kind of messy, but you know, it's good background, right? And more dots. And more dots. So I think I'm going to do some, maybe some gesso on here because it's just to get it clean. not work very good, but I really love the color. But I'm thinking I let it dry too much in between. But I love that color, it's so pretty. Okay, so I think I'm gonna let's see what's happening over here. Oh yeah, this one came out better. So see, it pulled up some of my stuff that was still there, and then my bubble wrap, and then that other paper. So just another great texture background. These are going to be so awesome. I know they look kind of sketchy right now, but trust me. When I put them together with things, it's going to look really good. So I'm going to clean this off a little bit. What haven't I done that I wanted to show? I did the gears. I did some lace. I did all those textures and some stamps. I was going to do that rug kind of one, but I don't know. I think I kind of did a similar deal when I did so many pulls on that other one. Ew, that's really pretty too. So see, with the lighter background, this was the color I just loved. And see, with the lighter background, it's really pretty too. And it pulled up some more of those dark dots that were still there. I just love these. I mean, these are meant to be backgrounds. So I just want grunginess and layers of color. You know, that they're going to end up being really awesome things. I mean, my brain is already kind of going crazy with all the different things floating around in there that I can do with these. I think I'm going to do another pull on this one with this. See if I can get the rest of that up. And then I need to get rid of this dot here. Oh yeah, that looks nice. I like that one. Okay, I need one more clean of this. I think just gesso on both of these. Oops, too much. So sorry for the odd, abrupt ending to my video. I had a little technical difficulty, but I am back on track, and I have ended up after this little demo with lots and lots of great background papers to use for my project. So I am going to go through these and pull out what I'm loving and scan those in so that I have them for future use, and then start figuring out some fun things to do with all of these prints. So I hope if you enjoyed that video, you'll give me a thumbs up, leave me comments if you have any ideas for me, tips and that sort of thing. And I am gonna continue on my journey here. So have a great rest of your day. Now go make something. Bye.